We are pleased to welcome Jim Seuss, Executive Director, Council on American-Islamic Relations, New Jersey chapter. Good to see you back again, Jim.
Nice to be here.
This is your first appearance, in fact, on State of Affairs. What is the state of affairs of those who are living in this state or are trying to come to this state who happen to have a Muslim background? By the way, tell everyone exactly what the Council is.
The Council on American-Islamic Relations is a civil rights organization dedicated to protecting the civil rights primarily of Muslims in America.
Okay, so take a step back. The state of those who fall into that category, particularly as it relates to the Trump administration and their policies in this regard.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of anxiety in the community right now. This executive order that enacted this travel ban has created that.
But there is no travel ban.
Right.
As we speak right now, in the beginning of March 2017, there is no travel ban. The Ninth Circuit out in San Francisco, the Ninth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, blocked that ban.
Right. So the ban itself, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have that much of an impact right now, of course, but the administration signaled what its intent is by signing that executive order.
And by the way, excuse me, by the time this airs, there may be an amended version of that, so I don't want to date ourselves. So say they amend it. Right. What happens?
Well, then we have another ban, essentially. It's executive order, and there'll be some sort of flavor of what we have now.
Another court fight?
Likely.
And so what does it mean for, again, when we talk about state of affairs, it isn't just a public policy question. Right. It's for the actual people who are impacted by it. Right. Describe their lives.
Right. Everyone virtually is impacted, whether you have anything to do with those 7 countries or not.
Name those countries.
Those Iraq, Iran, Somalia, Libya, Yemen. I think I got,
Yemen, Syria, Sudan, Somalia, Libya, Iraq, and Iran. The administration is saying now if they were to do this, we don't know for sure, but they would take Iraq out. Does it make a difference?
Doesn't really make a difference. I mean, having Iraq on the list was really thoughtless. There are Iraqis who have risked their lives to help the U.S. military, and now we've told them we don't really care that you've done that, at least temporarily. We're saying all Iraqis are suspect and a potential threat to the United States, so we'll keep you out. I think for that reason, they've taken Iraq potentially off the list.
Where are these people who live in New Jersey? I mean, this is a national issue, but connect it, Jim, back to New Jersey. Where are the folks from these nations and other Muslims disproportionately in New Jersey? I know Jersey City has a large Islamic population.
Right. Well, actually, the point is that you don't have to be from one of these 7 countries to be impacted. People that have nothing to do with these 7 countries, people from Egypt, people from Pakistan, are impacted by this just by the anxiety that is created as far as international travel.
Explain that.
Well, first of all, the travel ban itself has sent a very bigoted message to the country as a whole and to Customs and Border Patrol agents.
A bigoted message. The administration argues it's simply about being safe and protecting American citizens from those who may come into our country to do harm. You're saying a bigoted message. Right,
because it's basically casting a shadow of doubt over anyone from any one of these countries. Whereas history has shown that no one from any of these countries has ever committed a terrorist act inside the United States. It's also, Trump campaigned on a Muslim ban, basically saying Muslims are dangerous people, we can't let them in. This is his way of keeping good on that ban. And I think that his constituents have seen it that way. And frankly, Customs and Border Patrol agents have seen that way. We've seen cases of, for instance, Muhammad Ali's son, who was detained for hours. He's an American citizen.
His ex-wife as well.
His ex-wife. And Olympic medalist Ibtihaj Muhammad was detained. And she grew up in New Jersey. Had nothing to do with any of those countries, has a Muslim name, but is being detained and questioned for hours.
Jim, let me ask you this. I don't want to beat this state of affairs name of the series to death, but I'm going to ask you this. What is, in fact, from your point of view, and you've been studying this issue, engaged and involved for a long time, the state of affairs between those who are Muslim and those who are not in terms of the relationships that exist or don't?
Well, there's a great deal of fear and anxiety on both sides. The Muslim community has a great deal of anxiety based on the campaign promises that now President Trump has made and his willingness he has shown to act on those promises. And the fact that the president himself is acting on those promises has sent a signal to the people that may have already harbored fear of Muslims that this fear is actually real. He legitimizes that fear and, in fact, that hatred and bigoted acts.
But Jim, respectfully, where do you think American and New Jersey public opinion is on most of these issues? Do you believe most people are supportive of the president's initiatives in this regard?
Right, right.
Do you believe they are?
From what I understand, there's a great deal of support. About, half the people in the country tend to.
Okay, so let's devil's advocate.
Right.
Is it the job of an elected official, particularly the chief executive of this country, the leader of the free world, to in fact adhere to that public opinion if it's a little more than half, or to do something other than that?
Well, the public opinion seems to be guided by fear, and we should not govern out of fear. We should govern by the Constitution. So while the public may have an unfounded fear,
What does the Constitution have to do with this issue?
Well, the Constitution basically says that you shouldn't have any sort of religious test regarding people coming into the country or anything else. And the way this thing was written the first time, there was absolutely a religious test as far as Syrian refugees. There was a carve-out for Christians from Syria, as just one example. But right now, the effect, even though it wasn't written in the executive order, the effect is that Muslims are being discriminated against at the border, be they citizens, green card holders, or what, and having to do anything with these 7 countries or not, they're being discriminated against. They're being profiled.
My final question is this. For those who are not Muslim, have no Islamic connection, who say, this isn't about me, it doesn't affect me, it doesn't matter to me, you say?
You should not fear your Muslim neighbor. This is about you if you fear your Muslim neighbor and are supporting this ban. Muslims are actually less of a threat to your safety and security than the average American, simply by virtue of the fact that they don't drink, and you're at much higher risk of being killed by a drunk driver than by a terrorist act, be it an act committed by a white supremacist or Muslim or whoever. So the fear is unfounded.
And by the way, your connection, finally, your connection to this organization, you're a Muslim?
Yes, for 20 years. I wasn't born a Muslim.
Jim Seuss is Executive Director Counsel on American-Islamic Relations, New Jersey chapter. Thank you, Jim, for joining us on State of Affairs.
Thank you very much.
Stay with us. We're right back after this. Thank you, Jim.
All right, thanks.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Agnes Veris NJTV studio at 2 Gateway. Funding has been provided by Bartley Healthcare, Felician University, the New Jersey Association of Health Underwriters, Wells Fargo, PSE&G, JFK Medical Center, and by Johnson & Johnson.